Hey YouTube, welcome back to EagleX TCG, and we're coming at you with another bit of Gundam card game content. Now, the video between white-red seed blockers and blue-red ping tempo has gotten over 200 likes, and so we are dropping the deck list and breakdown on the channel as promised. Now, if you want to see that gameplay, it is down in the description. There was a bit of a snafu with the other player, but it has been addressed in the comments and it is being addressed on the local scene, so fret not. And then on top of that, if you don't want to wait for us to reach the like goal, you can always find this sort of content on my Patreon in the description, and soon to be memberships. We are going to be working that out. So yeah, you can catch all of that in the description, and without further ado, let's hop into the breakdown. Okay, so when it comes to the deck list, a lot of people have been trying to basically ask if they were close, or a couple have been guessing, but I think this is unique enough to where this hasn't been the case. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the three strike rouge. This is a very important card. I actually kind of want to see if there's space to put it up to 4, but this deck is actually pretty tight on space. So with strike rouge, this is an important card for turning your defense into offense, really being able to just untap a blocker just by paying 1, and then eventually turning this body sideways is very important. There was a game that I had in my recordings, and it still is there. If you guys want to see more gameplay with this deck, just let me know in the comments. We'll work something out. But I was playing and I had 4 blockers. He had like 4 attackers or something like that, and he thought we were in a stalemate. And then the following turn I drew a strike rouge, and I was like, no, I don't think so. And I played out 2 strike rouges, and then I swung out with 2 blockers, and I activated both strike rouges and unblocked them, which caused a shift in momentum, which caused him to lose next turn, because the next turn I just swung with 2 blockers, untapped them with strike rouges, then swung with 2 strike rouges and the rest of my board, and it was just like game. So yeah, this card is just really good at taking that defense and turning it into offense, and it really is a good point. You have to be a little ahead to use it though, because you have to have blockers on board to work with, but I do still like it. Sometimes on the low end, it allows you just to swing into shields with Ilfrith and then untap Ilfrith to be up for the block, so it still does kind of edge you into that space. Now the next card is 3 Ilfrith. Kind of wish it was at 4, but 3 is still a pretty good number in this game, and obviously it's just stopping up early game aggro, which is really what it's there for. Now, a card that I do want up to 3 is going to be Sword Strike Gundam. Realistically, this guy has a lot of momentum based play where you're going to be able to swing on a 2/2 while he has like Kira under him, minus the 2/2 by 2, making it 0 damage to you, but then you're going to be able to bounce into their 2/2. So on all these turns where a person is like, okay, I play out a 1-drop 2/2, another 1-drop 2/2, and I'm going to swing with the 1-drop 2/2 I already had on board, you're going to be able to kill that one that swung and then bounce another one, and then just put your opponent in a terrible position, and I love it. Now, going over to Sword Strike Gundam, this is good because of the dig, but this is the card that I think is the first card I'd cut. It is good because of dig, but outside of that, it doesn't provide a lot of utility, and that therein kind of lies the problem. I think that this card is fine, but he's just the first one that I'm eyeing when it comes to getting more space in the deck. The next card that we have here is actually going to be the Aegis Gundam MA form, and the Aegis Gundam MA form is a sleeper because 1, he is able to just breach 3, but when you pair him with Athrun, he's going to be able to attack active mode cards, and then that are level 5 or lower, and then on top of that, he becomes a 4/6, meaning that he can actually attack 3 2/2s before he dies, or 2 2/2s, and then they're going to try to chip him. Sometimes 1, they'll just like bite the bullet anyway because they see the writing on the wall, but realistically, he is a monster, and these 2 are going to be the absolute kings of anti-aggro. Like this core right here, Ilfrith, Sword Strike, Aegis Gundam MA form, because Ilfrith gets the early blocks, Sword Strike is getting guys off the board while killing other guys, sometimes just poking into shields and then bouncing a guy, and then Aegis Gundam is picking them off before they can even swing and then dealing breach. So he's softening them up for the late game when you can actually just finish them off with some of your bigger bodies, and I really do appreciate that. He's actually a MVP when it comes to the deck, and I think he's just actually slept on. Like when I was playing him, the amount of games that I wanted to open up with Aegis Gundam MA form in Athrun was insane. I did face a lot of aggro though, so that may also be a part of it. Now, when it comes to Ailstrike, I think that he is the premier card of the deck. I know some people are going to say that's freedom, that's justice, but no, this guy is not high enough in the cost to make me feel like, oh crap, like he comes in too late. He's just low enough to be able to stabilize, and there's a lot of cool plays you can make with them. Just the bouncing is very, very good. The bouncing with 4 HP or less. You can bounce things like Gundam if they haven't paired with him yet, force him to have the Amuro to make him get back into the game the turn he's played out. You can bounce back cards like the Rizel when they haven't touched anything on it. There's just a lot of good stuff that he can touch, and then sometimes if something's damaged and you just need it off the board and it doesn't have a pilot underneath it already, they're still really cash money, and that's pretty good too. Also, once we start talking about Kira, we'll talk about all the different things this guy can do. But moving over to Freedom Gundam, Freedom is also a house. He is going to be one of your late game boss cards. The blocker effect, the during pair once per turn, when you pair a pilot with or a unit to one of your white units. Sorry. Pair a pilot or one of or this unit to one of your wow, I guess I can't talk, my bad. When you pair a pilot with this or one of your white units, choose one of the unit, it gains -2 AP. This is going to be good because you just start like softening the board, and with Kira it leads some great trades that we're going to talk about when we get to Kira. And then you have Justice Gundam, and Justice Gundam is just I did rag on this guy heavily. I said that he was in the what tier, I believe, when I rated all the SRs. I think I'd move him to powerful but very limited. He forces you into the white-red combo. He links specifically with Athrun, but when he comes down, he's 2 attacks for 6. And he's not just 2 attacks for 6. For 5, he's just a big, huge body and a blocker. For 6, he's 2 attacks for 6. He's attack an active mode card before it can impact you and leave a blocker. He's attack a base and kill it, and then attack again into shields or for game with the token, which I actually did in that clip I showed you guys at the beginning of the gameplay. So that is going to be that. He is a very, very strong card. He just is incredibly limited, but I did think he was one of the star players. Like 3 and 3 felt perfect. They were doing exactly what they needed to do coming down late game to close out game, to seal game, to make blockers, to soften the board. Just excellent. When it comes to the bodies, I think that these Strike Gundams should go and maybe should become another Ilfrith, another Sword Strike, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling after playing this game. This deck did go 4-1, and I lost in a top decking match in the final round, where most people pointed out that my opponent did draw 2 cards during our top deck war at one point. Not top deck war, but he drew 2 cards earlier, and then when we got down to top deck war, he won it by 1 card by drawing the Kshatriya to match his Marita. So it is possible that maybe this game comes out differently if that's the case. Still investigating, because dude seems like a very nice guy, seems like a very, very nice guy. So I just don't want to be too hasty, but we do have to look at all the options and look at all the data and evidence. But I just want to let you guys know that's being resolved. So it's just, yeah, everybody was commenting on it, and I was like, guys, it's already being looked into. Now here we got Kira Yamato. And Kira Yamato is very, very, very good. Obviously, he's the premier pilot of the deck, running things. He matches up with quite a few cards for some really, really powerful synergy. Currently, he links with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards out of the 24 units I have. And he has different interactions with almost every one of them. At his weakest, he comes in a Strike Gundam, and there's nothing really to do with that. He makes it a 5-4 that can minus things by 2. Not very great. But with Sword Strike, like I mentioned before, you can swing on a 2-2, minus it to 0 AP, not take damage, bounce another 2-2 to really just take out 2 bodies at the same time against aggro. Very, very disgusting. When you get him onto L Strike, you can bounce a 4 or less and then swing on something, minus it 2. And against the aggro decks, that will allow you to bounce a body like the Rizel, bounce a body like the Gundam without a pilot, but then swing on a 2-2 and get rid of it. So another 2-for-2 exchange. On the Freedom Gundam, he's able to pair or link minus something by 2 because of the Freedom Gundam, and then you can swing on it and minus it by another 2 because of Kira to make it a -4, often making it a 2 or less AP card, barely doing damage to Freedom. And that's where you get some huge momentum changes in something that should have been a trade but is no longer a trade. And then yeah, that's pretty much that. Kira is a powerful just pilot, and he goes very, very well with a lot of the cards on here. Now, when it comes to Athrun, it's very strange, because I would say that Athrun is just as powerful as a pilot, but he doesn't have nearly as many uses as Kira. Realistically, he only links with the Aegis Gundam, Mobile Armor Form, and the Justice Gundam. Those are the only 2 things he links with. But at the same time, when it comes to those links, they are very powerful links. Like I said, Aegis Gundam mobile armor form will stop you from getting aggressed very much so throughout the game, just by attacking things before they can even attack, while dealing breach damage to make sure that you can get closer and closer to closing out the game. Athrun is just very, very strong for that. And then on top of that, when he gets into Justice, he's going to create a momentum swing of epic proportions. So yeah, he's very goated. But on top of that, he also can add +2 HP, turning Gundam Ilfrith into a 3/6, so making it so that your opponent may not want to swing with that Rizal, turning your Strike Rouge into a 4/4, making it way sturdier and avoiding a lot of destruction. So Athrun is actually pretty cool. Also, the cool thing about this when it comes to that is that you have Freedom Gundam not caring that it's a white pilot, it just needs to be a white unit. So if you have Freedom Gundam on the board and you play out like, you know, Gundam Ilfrith, but you want to have it a little more heft, and you just pair it with Athrun Zala, you're still getting the -2 on something because you just paired a white unit with a pilot. And so yeah, very, very cool. I like that synergy a lot. Then we have the Mining Asteroid Paleo. This is the card that a lot of people didn't see me putting in my deck. It is in other videos, just wasn't the video that I put up there. But you're a late game deck, you need to make it to like 6, 7. Well, you need to make it to at least 7 resources to play out your best cards and your best card combinations. So you need to last longer. So against aggro and other decks, I just found that the 0/6 base worked out very, very well. Wouldn't change it for anything. A very, very good card. And then you have the Archangel. Archangel is non-explanatory, or like you guys know what is there for. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blockers in the deck. This is going to be one of the cards that enables those blockers to swing and then untap. A little costly though. I like Striker Rouge better, but Archangel is also a base, keeping some of the heat off my shields. And there you go. Then moving into the next one, you've got Overflowing Affection. And we don't really need to explain Overflowing Affection. It is quite literally a draw card. You draw 2, you discard 1, and there we go, right? So very, very, very good card. Now, a lot of people didn't see Close Combat coming either, but you saw it in the video. Close Combat's very, very good. It doesn't have a higher level than its cost, so you can play it on curve, and there's a lot of just situations where it works out well against aggro. They play a 2/2, they pass, you smoke it, so it never gets to impact the board. There's a lot of cool times where, like, you know, your opponent wins the die roll, they choose going second. They play a 1/1, and then, or play a 2/2, and then, you know, you get your second resource and you pass, and then they play out Versalius, take a shield to hand, boost their card up by 1 AP, swing at your EX base, you're like tap 2, close combat, it's gone. All they can do after that is play out their next card to 2 cards and then pass, but you made your EX shield last an entire another turn, and I think that's actually really, really valuable. Also, sometimes you can get things low enough to then bounce them with Ale Strike Gundam. There's just a lot of stuff you can do here, and I appreciate it. Mulaflaga is also kind of like a mini close combat. He has bouncing things. He can bounce things that are a little bigger, like the Rizal. Also, he is a pilot, Mulaflaga for Earth Alliance. So if you don't want to burn a Kira to pair or link with Sword Strike Gundam, you can use Mulaflaga instead. Still get the bouncing effect while still punching into bases for game, punching into shields. A lot of good stuff. And then the last part of this is Striker Pack. Striker Pack is going to be a straight up house in this deck. It is going to be something that you can use like a Swiss Army knife. Sometimes you'll make the 2/4 so it has more longevity versus ping. Sometimes you make the 4/2 so you can check things with 4 or less HP and keep them at bay, which you saw in the video I think twice. It's just a very, very, very nice card, versatile. And then if it ever gets bursted, it is a blocker from life, which can really throw off your opponent just like a shield from life can. In some cases, a blocker from life is better than a shield from life, because the shield can get one-shotted, the block can get one-shotted, but at least you get to keep your shields at that point. There's a lot of cool stuff here. Something of cool interest to note is that in this deck of 50 cards, I have 4, 8, 6, or 4, 8, 14, 17. So I have 20 total burst cards. So that's 2/5 of my deck is burst. So there's a good chance that when you swing into my shields, I'm getting a card, or I'm getting like an effect, or I'm getting a base, and I like those odds. So yeah, well, I guess the main breakdown is that we got 24 units, a little low, 8 pilots, pretty standard, 6 bases, a little high, and 12 commands, very high for this sort of deck. But as you guys can see, it works out. And like I said, I do have more games, so if you guys want to see this, just let me know and I'll start editing those. And yeah, it was a fun deck to play. So next we're going to talk about the matchups, but first, Hey y'all, if you're still watching, you'll probably like the video, and if you like the video, you should like the video. But if you love it, you should join the EagleX fan by hitting that subscribe button, maybe join in the Discord too, and help us get over that 10,000 benchmark for subscribers while never missing a beat for my future Gundam card game content. Past that, you want to see anything I can't do on here when it comes to nerdy stuff, go in the description, check out my second channel, EagleX, where I stream games, go through game news, just talk about manga and anime, and soon we'll be playing Genshin Squadra, Dragon Ball Genshin Squadra, as well as Digimon Story Time Stranger, as well as Pokemon Legends ZA. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fun on there. All right, with that being said, let's get back to the video. So when it comes to the matchups, the aggro matchup is actually surprisingly solid. Early games, you land Ilfrits, of course. Your Sword Strike Gundams and your Aegis Gundams mobile armor forms are going to clear up the board and help you survive to the mid game. Once you're in the mid game, those two cards continue to carry, especially when they have their pilots underneath them. The Hawk of Endymion, as well as the close combats, really help you stabilize. The striker packs also make very good blockers, and the L strike is where you start turning the corner on bouncing things, but also getting some good offense in there. You survive long enough and you're able to get into freedoms and justices, which are going to lock down the board, provide heavy damage. Aegis Gundam softens up the opponent's shield so you can start really closing out game. The bases keep you alive, and Strike Rouge allows you to do that thing. Against mid-range decks, you pretty much have the same game plan. You just have to be a lot more aggressive. Sometimes you got to turn an Ilfrith sideways. Sometimes you got to get a little bit freaky with your Strike Rouges earlier, and you pretty much have that. The main things though is that this game, and I faced blue-red ping 3 times out of those 5 rounds, and I only lost once. So I think that it's pretty cool. I think that it's really cool. My matchups that day were blue or green blue 1 year war, green red Xeon, and then 3 blue red ping aggros, and I only lost to the blue red ping aggro in the finals in a very close game. So I do think that this deck is pretty good against aggro. I didn't think it would be that great against aggro. Against mid-range, it can be a lot hairier because the moment they start playing blue, they can start out advantaging you. If you're playing against white-blue blockers, then you guys will be playing, for the most part, a very similar game up until the very end when you're top decking and they're playing Show of Resolves. And that is going to be the main difference. They'll probably outdraw you and then outplay you. When it comes to Wing, I do think that Wing is a weird matchup because if they can start getting to Wing Zeros with high maneuver, they'll start going over whatever blockers you have and punching out whatever shields you have left. But Strike Rouge, I've seen if I can draw 2 Strike Rouges, there's a good chance that I can really get into their life and close out the game before they fully stabilize. But that's only if I can see Strike Rouge, which is another reason why I think I want to put Strike Rouge up to 4, because that's the really saving grace versus the Wing matchup. Otherwise, they can generally get to their end game and take control, and that's really bad for me. So I think that when it comes to this, aggro and aggressive tempos are actually pretty well within this deck's wheelhouse, but you start losing to control decks that do play blue because they will out advantage you and you will gas out like an aggro deck gasses out against mid-range in a lot of cases. That is a little rough, but it tends to happen. We can't really stop that, and that's just a part of the game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you guys like to build this deck if you've already built it. I am not gonna lie, I was surprised. I am quite surprised at how well this deck performed. Not to toot my own horn or anything, no, but really, I think the deck was way better than I thought it was. So I apologize to anybody that was offended when I was like white red seed. I don't know. I still don't think it's top, only because of the format, the way the format is, the way you have to contend with a bunch of different decks that don't play well into this one, i.e. any deck that's playing maximum copies of Show of Resolve and plays a good top end as well. But I do think this deck is a lot better than I gave it credit for. I did have a lot of fun playing it, and I almost, like I said, won a 5-round locals, and so yeah, it's pretty cool. That being said, I'm going to close out this video. Like I was saying before, thank you guys for all the support. Like the video if you want to thrive, subscribe if you want to join the EagleX fam and see more Gundam card game content. We've got a lot coming to this channel and a brand new series that should roll out end of this week, beginning of next week, that I think you guys are really going to dig into. And yeah, we're just having a lot of fun over here in Universe X. Thank you guys. Check out the links in the description for all sorts of cool nerd card gaming stuff, and I will see you in the next video. Later.